Guys, it's your favorite X here, and I have the War Edition Great Axe Ice Gauntlet build. It is the nastiest, number one, hands down build for Wars. Let's just get straight into it. We're gonna go over the perks, we're gonna go over the build, we'll go over the play styles, all that good stuff, man. So perk number one is kind of piece number one in general. We got some OPR gear, which by the way, low-key OPR gear is kind of goated. A lot of times they have split resistance points, and if you're not out there grinding mutateds and grinding your gypsum orbs, let's say you just PvP like me and get most of your umbrals through OPRs. Anytime you have a split attribute, strength con as an example, you can actually get that last attribute point at 618 versus 623 on just a full single stat piece of armor. So I kind of like to use that a little bit. I don't necessarily think physical aversion is super important, mainly just taking it for the resilient, kind of a buffer piece for right now, but the resilient is really, really crucial to our build. Being in light armor, which I recommend 110%. I think that having resilient pieces are really good. But before I get too deep into the gear, let's go over why I think light is the best. So light obviously leaves us kind of vulnerable in wars, and you really have to have good movement. You have to understand the build. And you really just have to understand your play style. So for me, I think that light is the best build for Great Axe Ice Gauntlet. And the reason why is simply just mobility. I've tried it extensively both in medium and in heavy, and I had decent results in medium, but the issue is I missed a lot of combos. Essentially, we throw the grab well, drop the ice shower, and whenever I go to do it in medium, I just simply don't have enough time to close the gap before they're able to break out of the combo itself. So light enables us to land all of our combos. We're able to get in and out of situations more fluidly and efficiently. And I think it's ultimately the better choice. All right. So going back to the armor that we're using. So we have resilient physical aversion on the first piece with the split attribute points. Going into the second piece, this is just avoid bent robes. This is kind of a buffer piece as well too, but also kind of not, right? So again, resilient is very crucial. We have resilient here, and invigorate is not bad either, because getting weakened is certainly not advantageous, or having exhaust is not advantageous, when you're running around in light looking to maximize DPS and looking to rely on your stamina heavily. So invigorated, not bad. Two good usable perks. Again, focusing on the resilient piece. The third perk that we have here, the third piece we have here, is another split attribute item. Got the 16 con, 10 strength. Again, getting that last attribute point at 618 versus 623. Now this one's a little bit different than the first two, as we have a weapon perk on here. We're going to be using Healing Tomb. I think that Healing Tomb isn't necessarily essential, right? Like you can work without it, but you will feel the impact of it, right? Just making sure that anytime you entomb, when you're disengaging or in a bad spot, making sure that you do have 100 mana before you release that entombment is going to be big, because you're going to get 10% of your health. Obviously, if you're around 300 200, you should be having around 13k health. So seeing that 10% health back to you, then popping, an infused health potion, in combination with an infused regen potion, you're going to be back up to health really, really quickly, and you should make it out of a lot of engagements where you previously wouldn't. Again, going to the second perk is resilient. Resilient, very, very important, man. I can't stress it enough. Super important. Try to get it on at least 4 or 5 pieces, okay? That's what we're aiming for here. 4 or 5 pieces resilient. Sword, obviously trash, but we're just going for the resilient Healing Tomb here. Moving on to the legs, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, and where the build really starts to spicing up. And if you're not watching right now, bro, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're missing a huge chunk of information. All right, refreshing evasion, it is insanely crucial. Okay, so we have refreshing evasion and insatiable grab well here, and on the last piece, we have resilient and refreshing evasion, which I got out of an OPR case, which is actually pretty dope. Let's talk a little bit about refreshing evasion really quickly before we continue. Refreshing evasion obviously reduces active cooldowns by 0.97% after exiting the dodge animation. Okay. We're in light armor. We're dodging all the time. and we're relying heavily upon combos. So we're relying upon our grab well and our ice shower for this build. That is the bread and butter of this build. Now with refreshing evasion, you're able to essentially maximize the uptime of having these combos. So every time you dodge off of refreshing evasion, let's say I throw a grab well right here, every time I'm dodging, I'm getting almost a couple seconds off of my cooldown timer. And you'll be able to see in the clips later on how this translates into a war scenario or a PvP scenario, but I think you guys kind of get the idea. So we're drastically reducing the amount of time it takes for our big combo moves to get back up. Resilient, obviously, again, very, very crucial. So we have 4 pieces of resilient in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So far, we have 2 refreshing evasions. Moving on to the jewelry now, we do have divine health. Just simply this, right? If you can get health divine, you're gonna really, really enjoy it. If you can get the 3rd perk on there too, great. But if you can just get these 2, take it all the way up, bro, you're chilling. The ring, we have hardy, slash damage, and enfeebling. Again, we talked about it in previous videos, but again, with everybody like myself rocking 4 or 5 pieces of resilient, your crits aren't really even crits anymore. They're very minuscule depending on how good the player is, but we're just gonna assume that everybody now understands the importance of resilience and is kind of building around that. So slash damage, boost that raw just base damage. You're gonna want to use this over keen awareness or whatever. I forget the perk is for the ring. Hold on, let me check just to make sure I know. Yeah, keen awareness. You're gonna want to use it over that simply just because you want that base damage versus crit damage, because you're gonna see general higher numbers consistently. All right, so moving on to the 3rd piece and the final piece, our earrings. We have refreshing toast and refreshing evasion. Refreshing toast is essential on every earring. If you don't have refreshing toast, you're pretty much selling. Even if you have great healers, man, just getting your potions, getting your potions back faster, it's so crucial to you staying alive, right? And allowing your healer to kind of have more freedom to heal the entirety of the war roster, as opposed to just kind of pocketing you or your group. Gives them more options, better overall for the health of the team. But also getting refreshing evasion out here, this is just something that I rolled and I had it, so I was like, yeah, I like that, because I think that refreshing evasion, again, we've talked about it, but having 3 to 4 pieces of refreshing evasion, I think, is a sweet spot. I don't think you need any more than that unless you're able to get like this, resilient and refreshing evasion. But at least 3, minimally 3, maybe 4. Sometimes I go 4 when I want to swap my amulet out just to kind of meme around maybe a little bit, or if I'm feeling real good, you know what I'm saying, we'll kind of do health, refreshing evasion, fortified recovery, or we might even do health, refreshing evasion, strike protection if I'm going up against a lot of bruisers. So kind of is a situational thing, but I usually stay around 3 refreshing evasion, sometimes max out at 4. Going to our great axe here. You guys kind of talked about it a bit in the comments of the last video. You guys started recommending Frost Attunement. Now, I haven't been able to get a Thwarting Strike Frost Attunement, but you guys don't know, go check the videos, man. Go check the Chain Fire video. The chain perks, man, are really, really nice. We get that 11% extra, extra weapon damage every 2 seconds. And it's ice, which is going to synergize extremely well with the ability on the bottom of the ice gauntlet with the ultimate chill ability. So we're going to see 25% additional damage off of the chain ice. 25% typically of my damage is give or take around 80. Okay, it's going to be different for everybody, of course, you know what I'm saying. You can do the math kind of simply, you know what I'm saying. But essentially, even though it's only 80, we're maximizing DPS here. We're squeezing out every extra drop of DPS that we can. And if you can imagine, if you're getting it every 2 seconds, that 80 damage over the course of an entire war, an entire OPR match, it's gonna really add up. It might only add up to a few extra thousand. That's a few extra thousand that you didn't have before, while also getting all the amazing benefits of dealing 11% extra weapon damage every 2 seconds. And you know what I'm saying, really just kind of being able to deal a lot of massive single target and AoE damage. I've chose to use the Jasper gem as opposed to Opal, And the reason why is because with the new changes to Jasper, we essentially deal 15% damage for 2 seconds after taking a hit. That's huge, right? With the Opal, we have 15% damage while your stamina is not full. Also very huge and very nice. But this means that at least for me, right? And I think it's going to affect most people the same way. When you're using your dodges, you're using them offensively. Like with maybe it's like a 70-30 split. 70% are offensive dodges, 30% are defensive dodges, because you have to, in order to keep your full uptime on the 15% damage from the Opal, you're having to do a lot of unnecessary dodges, right? But with Jasper, we're able to now use our dodges more defensively, so we can disengage a little bit cleaner. We can iframe so many more moves, and still kind of get that extra 15% damage. So we're at least for me, again, this is just for me, but I believe it will be something that everybody can take advantage of once they understand it a little bit. Is whenever you're in fights, you're gonna get hit, bro. Everybody always gets hit. You might be able to iframe a bunch of moves, but the chances of you getting hit are huge. So you're able to keep uptime up on the 15% damage by a lot, not losing much. Okay, you're able to still deal a massive amount of damage, but now you're able to use your dodges more defensively. And in light, as you can imagine, you're gonna need those dodges. So very, very big. I've been trying it out for about a week and a half now. Really enjoying it. My numbers have been pretty consistent, but the difference is my deaths have been way lower, and that's because we're using the dodges more defensively. Again, with the Ice Gauntlet, Unending Thaw is probably the only thing next to Healing Tomb that I would even worry about. I don't think Unending Thaw is that important, but if you want to just roll one with Strength, guarantee that extra perk, I would recommend guaranteeing Unending Thaw or Healing Tomb. It just the added frost effect 2 seconds after exiting a storm leaves a little bit of room for extra damage, a little bit of room for you to kind of catch up if they're kind of getting away from you or something like that, or to have a teammate, to kind of set up a teammate for another play, because that's a large part of this build. There's going to be two parts of this build, and we'll showcase both of them. One is setting up your team and using your CCs, your grab well, your shower, to kind of help lock down that group of people or an opponent. Even if you can't get the kill, not about you in wars, man. It's about making the big plays that help the team. So you can essentially set up kills for a big play and make those big plays, or you can choose to do the solo route. Let's say you don't have necessarily a super strong team and you're having to kind of hard carry a little bit more. You'll be able to see kind of the solo way of using this build as well too. I think that's everything we need to go over, though. Obviously, with our new attribute points, we're at 304, 202. I recommend always being at least 202, or at least being 13k. I just pretty much build up until I get 13k. For me, 13k gives me a huge opportunity to stay alive, enough breathing room to, to do what I got to do. And the strength, obviously, we see diminished returns, but we're getting a little bit of extra strength every attribute point, 2 to be exact, every time we put one in there. So 1495 base. I'd like to see myself get to 1500. We'll get there, though. We'll get closer. But yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know. I'll just briefly open this up so you can see. You guys can just stop it, take a screenshot. It's pretty similar to builds we've used in the past. There's the Great Axe, though, and then this is the Ice Gauntlet. Obviously, it is 110% essential that you do this. Just in case you didn't know, you need Ultimate Chill. It's huge. All right, let's jump straight into the videos. If you guys have liked this at all, man, which I know you will, make sure y'all drop a like, comment down below. Let's get that algorithm moving and grooving. Let's let everybody know, man. Let's let everybody know what we're about. All right, thank you guys very much. Enjoy.